Hey, what's going on, fellas? What we're looking at here are some photographs of a crucible-free foundry that I'm building for a company that's based in Virginia and Saudi Arabia. I think they're going to be moving back to Saudi Arabia, but for the most part, this is a crucible-free foundry. It just throw metal in the top, and it is set on a hinge there, and metal dumps out the side. This thing's got some extreme power. It's got 3 preheat burners on it. It is a cyclone combustion chamber, and it's a direct flame impingement crucible pot where the flames just blast right down on top of whatever it is you're trying to melt for the highest possible heat. This thing is not going to be a joke here. This is the side door for slag removal. And here we go. Fellas, I know I keep saying this, but damn, this is the coolest thing I've ever built. I can't stop looking at this thing. I'm like mesmerized by it. We're not even dialed in yet. This is the first test run. I don't like what I see, but I love what I'm looking at. I don't know how to explain it. We're going to adjust that flame. I only want that flame coming out of there just a little bit. We're down about 360 kilowatts there. This is beautiful. Needs more air. Wow, that's hot. All right, fellas, so here's the air compressor we're using. This is a 4-cylinder, 1 horsepower or 1.5 horsepower unit. It's just not enough air. We would want to be seeing this thing run in the ballpark of 60 to 80 psi's at a minimum. So now that we've got the fuel pump issues dealt with, we initially had an air leak right here that was causing this burner not to run properly. So that was a problem. Other than that, this thing's running very well. We just need a lot more air. That was too lean of or rich of a flame. This needs to be a lean burn. I ended up filling this thing with about a ½ inch deep of diesel fuel on accident. So some blistering damage from the moisture did occur. That's just the top coating though. That's called some HT100 top coat. That's nothing to worry about. That's all that you see flaking off right there. So thing is incredible. We just got to hook it up to 2 air compressors and I think we're going to be all right. This is just a deleted scene of me learning how to use this thing. Here we discover what not to do. I should have had that side door open for this event. That didn't work. Alright fellas, I'm out of here, man. This next little clip is me tinkering around with this thing for the first time. And the burner I just lit, come to find out, has a vacuum leak in it. And because this thing has a siphon nozzle on it, a vacuum is actually pulled on the fuel nozzle. So if you have the slightest little bit of a leak, the burner won't run on low settings. It will sputter out on you. And that's kind of what's going on here. So I ended up having to take this burner back out of the unit, or the nozzle of it anyway, and try and figure out what was wrong with it. And that's what it was. I had broke the Loctite sealant loose while I was tightening the flare tubings. And this, if you move Loctite or even thread sealant tape after it's been set, if you back it out at all, it's going to leak. And it only takes the slightest little bit of a vacuum leak for air bubbles to get entrained in the fuel flow. And because the fuel line from the penstock on, or from the valve on to the discharge, is under vacuum, those little tiny air bubbles that get through probably expand tenfold because they're under vacuum. So they become a huge problem. And I just battle away at this thing for a while before I finally give up and realized that's what it is. At first I just wasn't sure if there was air still caught in the line, because the burners will also do this if you don't bleed the system very well, or if you have air bubbles entrained somewhere else. I'll try and find a clip for you guys that shows how easily air bubbles can get pulled into a fuel system, and how devastating they can be to gas engines even as well. Maybe I'll try and find a quick clip of that and show it to you guys. But just, if you got hose clamps that ain't tightened good enough, you're out of there, man. It just ain't gonna work. You can see here I decided to go ahead and try the second burner to see if maybe I can prove that it is in fact a vacuum leak. And as you can see, this burner is doing just fine. At this point I'm like, son of a, what the heck? So I realized that there's definitely something that needs to be tightened up. I remember cracking that seal loose when I tightened the flare fittings on there, and I hoped that it wasn't going to do nothing, but it sure enough did. So here we are. I'm just kind of baffled, like what in the heck. Just haven't yet totally convinced myself that indeed that's the problem. So I go ahead and light the other burner, and it also works just fine. So if any of you guys who buy these burners off me, if you notice any sputtering or it won't run on low settings, that's what it is. You're just getting little tiny air bubbles seep through, and because it's under vacuum, those tiny air bubbles increase in size, probably well over tenfold, probably 100-fold in some cases. But that's the gist of it. So I ended up taking this thing apart and fixing it. That's how it goes though when you're building this kind of stuff, guys. I always say, nothing ever works the first time you flip the switch. Never. I've heard that from the greatest. So don't, put it off as me just being a hack. I mean, how many spaceships did they blow up before they got one to go into outer space? So I'm out of here, fellas. If you're still here, damn, you're amazing. You deserve an award. You guys are putting food on the table, man, and I appreciate that. I can't believe this. This is what I get paid to do, screw around all day with this kind of stuff. It can be very frustrating, though. I am not having a good time right now. I am in living hell. I'm freaking out. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. Suicide's on the list here. I'm just kidding. I'd never kill myself. I know I'm going to get it working. Even though Democrats are in charge, I think we're going to get through this.